Howdy, folks, and welcome back to Dead Pit. Today, we have a very interesting review, and it's a first-time request from our new baller and shot caller, Tim. And it's and it's interesting requests because, like, a lot of times, and people can request whatever the hell they want to. They're a baller and shot caller, right? But it's like A24 avant-garde French movies,
Right.
German, expressionist films or whatever. But man, we just got a good old classic buddy comedy from the early 90s, directed by Emilio Estevez. It's one of the early movies that I think he only did like one other movie before this, directing wise, which is pretty impressive considering how young he was then, directing movies and all that. But man, this was one that was a pretty big hit at video stores. And I have a lot of fond memories of just seeing like fucking dozens of these tapes lined up on the rack at Superstar Video. People like, I don't know if this did that well in theaters, but like people were all over this goofy ass shit back in the day at the video store. And we're talking about Men at Work, by the way.
1990s Men at Work. So with Emilio Estevez and Charlie Sheen. So the funny thing about this movie is I had always in my mind remembered people being like, oh, this movie's like it bombed and it was awful and all this stuff and yada, yada, yada. And then I go back and I look it up. It actually didn't bomb. I mean, it didn't do great. It on a budget of $9 million, it made $16 million back. So it didn't lose money, but it was considered to be a critical and kind of like just overall kind of failure. It is a very odd and eccentric comedy too. It's not your typical comedy, even for around that period of time.
Yeah, timeline wise, I'm not positive on this because I'm not an expert on like the buddy comedies or anything. But do you think this movie was greenlit behind like the success of like Weekend at Bernie's? Or
that's what it reminds you of? Yeah,
because it's the same sort of like goofy. Like I guess there's parts of it that's supposed to be serious, but nothing's really that serious about this. This is like a total like slapstick kind of comedy from that era.
There was a period of time in the late 80s and early 90s where like I can remember a bunch of movies like that were really popular, like the Police Academy movies, Mannequin, the Mannequin movies like
Mannequin 2 on the Move.
You're talking about Weekend at Bernie's, movies like that to where it was just like really light, fluff, goofy ass comedies.
Dragnet. The Dragnet movie.
Yeah. So there's a lot of movies like that got popular. And this was definitely one of them, but I think it was on like the lower end of that for a lot of people that didn't, other than like rental, didn't really see it. But it centers around two guys, Emilio Estevez, Charlie Sheen, that are garbage collectors that end up.
Man.
Yeah. Trash. They end up like, they're
in Southern California.
They're kind of juvenile and they're always like playing pranks and shit on people. And they one time that they have a pellet gun and they end up shooting this guy that they can't stand in the ass with it. And they're like, they hide when they do it. But then like it's really weird to even talk about this, how stupid this is. So after they shoot the guy in the ass, like two other guys come along and like kill him.
Without them seeing it.
Without them seeing it, but they think that they did it. Essentially.
Well, they find the body the next day.
Yeah.
In a barrel, right? And they're like, "Oh my God, I shot him in the ass with a pellet gun. He killed him." And then, so Keith David, I think it's Keith David.
It's either David Keith or Keith. I always get those two guys.
It's the African American fellow.
I think it's Keith David. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's like supervising them for the week, and they all find this dead body. And he notices and even says, "Hey, this guy was strangled to death or whatever."
Right.
But they still decide to get the body out of the barrel and take it with them. Right? And I'm like, okay, that's a stretch, right? So the whole movie, and this was a politician, right? The whole plot of this, This is like the mayor, he's running for mayor of the city. He has information on illegal toxic dumping in the area by this evil asshole that's dumping this shit in these yellow barrels or whatever, and it's dumping it in the ocean, polluting the environment and all that. And this guy, of course, has him killed. So that, and then they have information. I think there's a tape that has special information on it with the details of the dumping and all that. So that's, I mean, as thin of a plot as it is, that's what it is. So, like,
Yep.
the rest of the movie, they've got this dead body they're hanging out with, right? And they try to get to the bottom of, how what happened to this guy, and it leads up to ending there at the toxic waste dump.
There's a great cast in this film, man, which is kind of largely the biggest reason why I like it to this day. So you got Charlie Sheen, you got Emilio Estevez, you got Keith David, then you got Dean Cameron, who plays like the pizza guy. Dean Cameron, for a lot of people like that don't know, is the guy that was in Summer School, one of those ski movies that I never fucking remember.
Yeah, I
Like
think it was
the name.
Ski Academy, or
It's either Ski School or Ski Academy or Ski. There's 3 or 4 of those that are all mixed up
might
in
have
my
been
head.
Ski School. The one's got in Leslie Jordan in that one.
He's in one of them. Anyway, he does play Chainsaw in Summer School. That's how I remember. But he's got a really like memorable kind of role in the movie. It's a lot of slapstick kind of shit that happens in it. Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez are like kind of smart asses. That's
Yeah,
their gimmick in the movie.
they work well together too. I mean,
They do, yeah.
which they were in Young Guns. I think the same, like it was a couple of years earlier. Is that right?
Yeah, it had to be. If this is 90, then yeah. I'm thinking though, as I was reading up on this, I had no idea that originally John Hughes was going to write the script for this fucking movie.
He was really impressed with the plot of it and everything, I think. And I didn't realize until we reviewed this though that Emilio Estevez directed the fucking movie. I didn't
realize that either.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
He wrote it, he directed it. Also, Stuart Copeland, who was the drummer for the Police, did the score other than the soundtrack. So it's got a lot of really interesting things going for it. It is a bit of a mess, though, really, still to this day.
yeah, I mean, there's issues with it, but as a kid, I always loved it. I loved the shit bombing scene. Like, I
Yeah.
always remembered that. I wish I could do that to Uncle Bill somehow.
Yeah. I wish you'd try.
The chemistry of Charlie Sheen and Emilio Estevez was really, really good. And it's sad, too, because, like, look at Charlie Sheen's career. Where did it really go after this?
Where in the fuck did Emilio Estevez's career go? I mean, Charlie Sheen got
I think
on 2.5
Emilio
Men.
Estevez voluntarily left show business for a while, though, if I'm not mistaken.
I think at this point, Charlie Sheen is probably worth over like a couple $100 million because of that stupid ass show, 2.5 Men. But like, I don't know what happened to Emilio Estevez. Like, hopefully he saved his money because I haven't heard from him in 15 years.
I thought that he had like purposely retired not long after this or something.
I hope so. I mean,
I'm not sure.
yeah.
But like Charlie Sheen, though, as far as like his movie career, though, I mean, he did have some success with that TV show, which I never did watch, but anyway.
Yeah. I want to say that Estevez started to like direct and write and stuff more, but like it didn't really
pan out for him.
No.
And interesting little story tidbit about this too. So he was Emilio Estevez was filming Young Guns 2 by day and editing Men at Work at night. So he was pulling overtime around this time period. He was a hot commodity, if you will. But yeah, I think this one's a little bit underrated still. Is it great? No. But it's fun, it's goofy, it's a good time waster. I think MVD did come out with a Blu-ray of this a couple of years ago. I don't think it has many extra features or anything on it. But if you wanted to check it out, I actually would highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun with it.
It's a goofy comedy from the 90s. So yeah, if you like that, you're going to love it.
You're gonna want some more of it.
I
That's
like it. I love it. Want
big
some
shout out,
more of it.
though, to Timmy
Give me
for
that.
the request, because this was a lot of fun. This is a horse of a different color, if you will. So definitely a big shout out to him, and thank you for the request and everything. And thank everybody for checking the review out. Stay tuned for more creamy horror and maybe 90s buddy comedy goodness over at Dead Pit. I want all these people to click everything they're supposed to click.
You haven't been liking them, you haven't been subscribing to them, you haven't clicked the bell or notification or anything like that.
Folks, why don't you click the like button?
Do you hate us? Do you not want to see us succeed?
Why don't you click the heart button?
Is this something that you have against our particular show?
Why don't you subscribe?
You should click on one of them buttons right now if you want us to continue to bring greatness into your life.
There's all kinds of wonderful shirts over at shop.deadpit.com. Simply the best horror shirts. On TeePublic, there are others, but they all suck. You can get some Dead Pit Radio shirts. You can get Last South on the Left. The Hills Have Eyes. Texas Chainsaw. Oh, wait, you can't say Texas Chainsaw. All kinds of shirts, folks. You're gonna love them. Shop.deadpit.com.
Special thanks goes out to our supporters on Patreon. Do you know what kind of stuff you can get on Patreon, Uncle Bill, starting at only $1 a month?
What's that?
Access to every Dead Pit show since 2005. We got almost 200 fan commentaries that we've done over the decade.
Here's what other fucking Patreons do. They're like, hey, give us money and then we'll let you see a video early that we're going to release like a fucking week from now, and then that's all we're going to give you. Meanwhile, we have a literal jukebox full of songs, thousands of reviews. I don't even know how many shows are up on there now that we've done over the years.
Hundreds of thousands.
You need to figure this out now and subscribe to us on Patreon and YouTube and Instagram. And help us to 1 million. The road to 1 million subscribers starts today.
So Deadpit on Patreon.com. Join today. Tiers start at only $1, but I'd recommend at least the $10 tier.
You can do 50. The stock market's crashing around us, folks, but send us money.